And the one doctor's appointment that I had an appointment at work that I couldn't make, I get a phone call from her, and she is just bawling her eyes out. And I go, "What? What?" She goes, "They can't find a heartbeat."
Hey, welcome back to Too Hard, Too Fast. New intro is coming soon because I'm tired of saying the same old thing I've said since 2020 and we're in 2022. I'm going to think of a new one. But you know what? This is the podcast where we're definitely going to open up and broaden perspectives. We've done it and I appreciate it. Now we're starting a whole new year. Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
Whoop, whoop. Happy New Year. 2022. Same me, still. Same demons. Not working through them. Not making resolutions. We'll see. Maybe I'll try to better myself every now and then. But Art,
I hope not.
Arthur is back. Last time you guys saw him, he was here as a guest co-host.
Culture Jam.
With Culture Jam, we ended the podcast that we were doing with Sabrina, with Culture Jam. And then we started talking about a lot of cool things, funny things. And then we got real serious. And I was like, dude, we need to have another episode and just talk about this. So in true Too Hard, Too Fast fashion, we're going to go too hard, too fast. We're going to talk about funny things. We're going to talk about serious topics. And we're going to go off the rails. We'll see where this goes. But sit back, buckle up. Let's go. Too hard, too fast. Boom.
Boom.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Welcome to Too Hard, Too Fast.
Too hard, too fast.
Too hard, too fast.
Too hard, too fast.
Welcome to Too Hard, Too Fast.
Welcome back. Too hard, too fast. Where we go off the rails and George has to worry about it. So here we go. The podcast of the century. Right.
Arthur, what's the name of your channel again?
I am the Rowdy Texan Abroad on YouTube, and trying to put some more stuff out there.
I think you need to start changing the channel's name to the Rowdy Sexy Texan Abroad. Get some more likes and views and controversy your way.
That wouldn't be a bad idea, except then they'd come on the channel and see me and they'd be like, womp womp.
Hey,
if I still had my beard that was like down to here, I could agree with that. But with the little short stuff, nah.
You know what a beard needs?
You say bedazzlement, I'm leaving.
No, a good beard needs a good beer.
Oh,
and I want to know which one is the better one. We're gonna find out. It's a weird thing. I'm going with.
I'm gonna go with the Shiner one because I used to work at the brewery, so I always kind of lean the way of Shiner.
Yeah. Do you think? Okay, can you talk about this? Do you think Shiner has ever made a bad beer?
So let's go back. Yeah, too hard, too fast. There was a point when I was working at the brewery, and this was between February of 2012 and August of 2012, whenever I got married and moved to Central Texas. They started producing the Shiner Light Blonde, which I love. Shiner Blonde. I love Shiner Blonde. That's my favorite. And a lot of people don't know Shiner Blonde, the recipe is the original Cosmo Spätzle beer recipe, not Shiner Bock. Shiner Blonde is the original recipe that Cosmo Spätzle, the founder of the Spätzle brewery that makes Shiner, brought with him and produced. They started producing the light blonde, which I'm good. I'm good trying. I love lighter beers. I do.
I like some
last
blonde
time
every now and then.
last
Shiner
time we were
blonde, ladies and gentlemen.
Right, the wife's going to be listening to that and doing raised eyebrow. See, I could say that. I could say that because my wife is blonde, so that would work. But they started producing the Shiner Light Blonde. And if anybody listening, if you've never been to the Spetzel Brewery, you can go and they will give you a tour of the entire brewery, bring you back to the hospitality room. There it is in Shiner, Texas. Look it up. Shiner, Texas, not that far from Central Texas where we're at. They will take you back to the hospitality room. They have a bunch of beers on tap in the hospitality room. They will give you 5 wooden tokens that will get you 5 6-ounce beers. When we would get off of our shift at the brewery and we would work, now I don't remember. It was like 5 a.m. to 4 p.m. or 3 p.m. It was somewhere in there. But all of us would get off of our shift and we'd all go up to the hospitality room to get our free beers. There was one time I got the light blonde and I took a drink and it was awful. It smelled skunky. There was a funk to it. Drank it, and ever since then I have not been able to drink it. And from what I heard was that they did have a bad batch at that point, and that's what was in the hospitality room. But to me, it just kind of ruined it. I can't drink the light blonde. So when it comes to beers, I always lean the way of Shiner, unless it's a light blonde. But I'm kind of jaded on that. I'm scarred. I have like just a little cringe to the light blonde because of how bad it truly was.
Let me tell you this: you definitely went too hard, too fast. Because this is like an inside story, and I loved it. I love it. You went off the rails and maybe misunderstood my question, because that is hilarious that they messed up their batch. I was more talking like I wanted some dirt on the flavors. You know, they have different flavors.
Oh.
This is a pecan, and you know they have the ruby, and there was another name for ruby before, wasn't it? Grapefruit.
So the Ruby Redbird.
Ruby Redbird.
Yes.
Who I wasn't a fan of. I don't know if maybe now my palate has changed, but I wasn't a fan of. But they have different flavors.
I love the Ruby Redbird. When I lived in Yoakum with my parents before I got married, working at the brewery, getting off work, middle of the summer, going to my parents' house. They lived on about 1.5 acres. I would mow the lawn for my dad, and I would go in, put in my headphones, pop a Ruby Redbird, and just mow. Nothing better. If you're going to drink beer while you're doing something when it's hot, Ruby Redbird is perfect. And I know what story you were asking for. So yeah, whenever I worked at the brewery, the woman who that beer is named after, Ruby, we called her Redbird. And she was the sweetest woman. She was custodial, I believe, at the brewery. And every Friday when we'd walk up to go get our paychecks, she was always in the same place. So I don't know if she just cleaned the same spot the entire time. But every Friday she was standing in that hallway while we were walking up to the front, and we'd see her. And she always was the most friendly person. And she just, in my head, I can still hear her voice and how, she was just a happy person. And it was just awesome. And I think that may be part of why I love the Ruby Redbird so much, is because of her. But yeah, I'm always going to lean the Shiner way for their flavors. Now they're coming out with some weird stuff, but
they had some s'mores that I saw, and I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not ready for that craziness yet. And you know what I'm very disappointed with? But hold on. Now I feel a little bad that I said that Ruby wasn't my favorite. I'll give it another try.
Right.
Here's what I don't like that I wish Shiner wouldn't have gone. And I can see it from a business standpoint why they did it. They have Shiner seltzers. And I always thought Shiner was better than that.
Yeah, I agree. First time I saw them, I was like,
I haven't
kinda-
tried them. I don't know. We've had seltzers on this podcast before. I'm not against seltzers. I'm just, come on, Shiner.
yeah, right. Shiner is beer. Shiner is Texas.
Exactly.
Seltzer is not Texas. I mean, like we talked about on the last podcast with Sabrina and Culture Jam. Like I tried the Bud Light seltzers. They weren't bad, but it's not something that I'm going to come to Texas and be like, all right, I am standing in Lukenbach, Texas. Somebody give me a damn Shiner seltzer.
Yeah.
That's not.
You'll
that's
get
not
ran out of
Texas.
town for sure. I'm like, nah, bro. Get out of here.
You just head on. You just head on up out of her.
I mean, I will get run out of town for a different reason, but I'm kidding.
But when I go back home, it's the same thing.
That's right. We did talk about that. So I have these two beers, and I want to try them. They're both pecan. They're both Texas, Austin, Shiner, 512. Right here, you can see it. I want to see which one is the better pecan. But as I open them, I want you to tell me what you're drinking and give me a rating for what you're drinking. But the one thing I do like about Shiner is the twist off. That's always perfect. Meanwhile, like most other ones, you gotta do that.
Womp womp.
All right, what are you drinking?
So I went a little different this night. Normally I drink Bud Light. That's my go-to for drinking, but sometimes I like to get a little rowdy.
Wasty face.
Yeah,
A little
especially
too hard,
like
too fast.
yeah, I like to go a little too hard, too fast, especially when I have a Friday off, including the weekend. So I got a 3-day weekend coming up. So when I do that, I like to go with Northgate vodka
Ooh.
from College Station. And if you can see in the background, you see Reveille, Hullabaloo, Connect.
What I see is that you've already done a little damage to that bottle.
I kind of have, 2 shots per drink, to make sure
To go off
get
the
stuff
rails.
going right. Yeah, but I will say, so last time I reviewed Bud Light, I gave it a 1. Northgate vodka, I absolutely give it a 2. It
Ooh,
is
okay.
smooth. It's not kind of that harsh like alcohol. A lot of vodkas sometimes smell like rubbing alcohol. This, nope. It is a beautiful drink. So I would, if your liquor store doesn't carry it, I would recommend you ask them to, because it is really good. Really, really good.
See, the 2 in Too Hard Too Fast means that you would drive to wherever it's at, and not only drive to where it's at, you drink and make sure you stay there, because you're gonna go too
Yep.
hard too fast on it.
Mhm.
So I'm a fan of vodka. I'm interested in trying it. So pretty soon we're gonna hang out, and I'm gonna need some Northgate vodka.
I will make sure I have some for you, brother.
All right, let's do this. Let's see. Who should I try first?
Try the
wanna
512 first.
I'm gonna say this one's gonna be better, so I'm gonna save it for the end.
There we go.
All right.
Good
I,
choice.
I
Good
want to
choice.
give it to Shiner, even though I do like 512. All right. All right.
Did you swish it? Did you swirl it? Oh, he's going back for seconds. Okay.
There's an
Okay.
initial pecan flavor, but then you taste like the porter of it. Like it's a little heavier, a little chocolatey,
Mm.
a little palate cleanser.
Yeah. Yep. There it is. There it is. It didn't take much to see that.
I don't. Oh man. Okay. I think I would drink this. Okay, so let's see. This is a 6.0. This is a 6.0. This is a 6.2. So that's still very like even. This is vegan for you Austin people. 83% organic. So I wonder what's not organic about it.
It's just got some like pork bones inside the broth or what.
There's a good like bam punch of pecan right as you drink it, but then you get like that chocolatey porter taste out of it, like the background. This though, I want to say it's unfair because I just noticed it says candied,
Candied. Yeah.
and you definitely taste a lot of pecan, and you get that candied and candied pecans. If you've never had candied pecans, you're missing out.
So good.
1.68. Very high, very good. 1.75.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
As I put it off screen and gonna drink that. Don't hate me, 512, but also I should note this. This one's more expensive. Even when you buy it single. If you buy multiples, it's gonna be more. This one it doesn't have the price on it, but it was cheaper. And the flavor's a little better on this, so.
Oh yeah. let me make a recommendation. Everybody listening. Next time that you bake brownies, go get a single Shiner black lager. The black lager, substitute that for the water in your brownie mix.
Ooh.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, you don't taste the Shiner or anything like that, but it makes the middle of the brownies just gooey, so good.
And then you add a little bit of that devil's lettuce.
Oh,
Who's to say, right? Who's to say? Joe Rogan
actually,
does it.
I wouldn't know. I've never partaken in the devil's lettuce, so I actually
Well,
wouldn't
with
know.
that said, I think there's a little too hard, too fast idea I have in my head right now, and I'm gonna try something. I would definitely mix it. Mix it together, guys.
So like a double fisting kind of thing? Or...
Don't do that move. That's a move forever now.
Look, I'm just trying to figure out what you're doing over there. I don't.
I just got the idea. I was like, hey, they're both open. I like
do
this
it again.
one a lot.
Do it again.
I don't want it to go to waste, so you might as well.
Yeah.
Might as well, man. Yeah. All right, 2 hard, 2 fast.
That's good. I'm gonna have to try. All right, I'm gonna have to try the candied pecan now. You've convinced me on that one.
Definitely a fan. Good job, Shiner. Send me some beer.
Oh, when I worked at the brewery, I could get a case of Shiner anywhere I went for $10.
Ooh. Like even
I would have
even if it's not just HEB, boom, I work for Shiner.
No, so I would come up to visit my wife now, fiance at the time, and we would go to HEB and I'd get 2 12-packs of Shiner Blonde. And then on Monday morning, when I went back to the brewery, I would take them the receipt and they would give me everything back in cash except for $10.
Give me this story because I want to hear the story and I want everybody else to hear it. I know I've heard it. Going back to the Ruby, how many times were you stung because of the Ruby? A beer.
So that's some PTSD kind of shit right there. So whenever they would produce the Ruby Redbird, which when I worked there, it was only during the early summer, like spring. When I started there again in February of 2012, it was probably about a month later that we started getting in the shipments of the grapefruit nectar to produce Ruby Redbird. And it was actually these giant plastic containers with the metal ribbing around it full of grapefruit extract. And during that time, it was only Ruby Redbird was only produced during the summer and then they would stop. Now it became so popular, they produce it year round. But I worked in the Shiner Reunion section of the brewery, which a lot of people don't know. You go to the store, you see the Shiner Reunion pack, the family pack, and it's got all the different types of beers in it. Well, when I worked there, everything was hand packaged. So whenever we would do 6-packs or cases of that, you would have somebody standing on a conveyor belt or standing on each side of a conveyor belt line with one type of beer, and they would put it into the box. Next. It would go down the line. Guy would super glue the box shut. It would go down a conveyor belt that was no more than probably 6 feet long to push the lid down. And then you had somebody on the end that would stack these cases. And we would do it was 50 cases per pallet, and we would do about 50 cases a day. Majority of my time was spent at the end of the line stacking cases of beer. And when I was doing that, my arms were phenomenal. Just I was ripped doing that. But when they would run Redbird, the Ruby Redbird, a lot of times it was during the early spring to get them out for summer. And in the Shiner Reunion, the family pack, sometimes the main brewery, we would run out of certain types of beer because they had to run our stuff special. They had to run it specially in cases for us. So if we ran out of one type and they were already on a run of something else, we couldn't do anything. So they would send us out in the yard to repair pallets, make sure that stuff wasn't coming up, restack pallets so that forklifts could come in and pull them inside. Well, those damn plastic containers of the nectar, the extract of grapefruit, once they used them, they would move them out into the yard and they would just leave them until they could come get picked up. And God, we would walk out there and go to get a pallet to move to make sure it's repaired and usable and be like, they would have one of those Ruby Redbird containers out there full of bees. And of course you start walking by them and the bees are getting on you and I probably only got stung a few times because they were normally the honeybees trying to just get to the nectar and everything.
Yeah.
But it was you immediately freak out because it's they buzzing and they land on you and it's no. And then trying to get the snakes to make sure the snakes are out from the pallets and stuff. And
wait, you had snakes too?
Oh yeah,
they were attracted to the same nectar or what?
No, not the nectar, but the pallets and everything would attract them because it was good shelter during the hot summer and everything. So it would pull them in. So you'd get rat snakes or whatever. Every now and then we had a couple of rattlesnakes and we'd get them away. We didn't kill them or anything, but we'd just get them away because there's nothing for you here.
Yeah.
Move on down the road.
Unless you like some beer.
Right? You want some bees?
I would freak out with the bees. I freak out with bees all the time. And I remember I was young. My uncle had a little bee, not a bee farm, but those little beehive things. He was a little, and it sucked, man. I remember all my cousins were telling me stories of how they would all get stung, and for some reason, most of them got stung in the ear. I don't know what the heck was going on. These bees just had it they were assassins for the ear, and I think once I got stung, I don't remember if it was a digit. I don't remember if it was my finger or my or if I stepped on one and it stuck me on my toe, it was one thing. And ever since then, I was like, nah, I don't want to ever mess around with these. And yeah, and I don't know about you, but like in my family, it's like they used to rub garlic. We call it el ajo. And we rub it on the thing. I was like, I don't know if it's soothed it over or what it did, or they were just trying to warn more bats away. I don't know, or some vampire shit. Some vampire shit. I don't know what was going on, but apparently it was supposed to soothe it. I don't know.
Yeah, never heard the garlic. Never heard the garlic thing. So that one's new.
I could be wrong, but this is too hard, too fast, and we don't check facts. So
Right?
maybe it was not even that. Maybe it was just Vicks.
No say they just rubbed an egg on it and cracked it under your bed.
Yes.
You're fine.
Dude, 2022. How's your year so far?
Man, so far so good. Had a great Christmas, New Year with the family and everything. You know, the best part about Christmas is the family. The family's growing. So of course it's me, my wife, and daughter. She's 3.5 now, and just awesome. She's been in her daycare 4-year-old class since November 1st. So she is the youngest person in her class, which is cool. But you know, the family's growing. Like my sister, who is 10 years older than me, and my brother-in-law, and my 2 nephews. My oldest nephew just turned 26, who he's 10 years younger than me. And he's got a girlfriend who she's awesome. I call her short stack because she stands about that tall. You know, so we did a big Christmas down at my parents' house in New Braunfels, and you know, it was awesome. It was great. Yeah, first for New Year's, it was just me, the wife and kid here. I did pizza on the grill.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, I took my pizza stone out there and just fired up some charcoal, and oh, it was so good. Yeah, man.
That's the kind of stuff you're gonna put in the channel, man. I was super interested in that because I was like, dang, that's an idea right there. I'm sure other people do it and stuff like that, but you don't see it happening very often.
Yeah, and dude, the majority of the time I'm like, man, this is gonna be awesome for my channel. And then I start doing stuff and like I'm halfway done or I'm cooking. I'm like, shit, that would have been really good.
This past Christmas, I don't know, this is weird. Okay, I'm gonna get a little heavy on this. Hey, we talked about that we were gonna talk about heavy stuff. So I'm gonna get a little heavy. This Christmas was one of the first Christmas that I've thoroughly enjoyed in a long time. And I'll say it because I almost went back to the innocence of Christmas. You know, like it's like Santa is leaving the Christmas presents.
Yeah.
How do they get there? You know, you don't know as a little kid. Things are like if you grew up in a family where you believe in Santa and you believe that, you know, he does come and leave the presents, you know. If there's any kids watching,
hold on.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Wait. What about Santa?
You know, if you know, you know, and if you don't, go ahead and click off.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Huge spoiler alert.
That last bit of, you know, as adults, we lose a lot of our innocence from just life in general, but we get to have it back with our kids. Like my daughter, Amelia, Christmas to me is so much more special, and it's still, and you're right, with that re-engagement of the magic of Christmas, knowing that her reaction on stuff, her moment, her just everything. Just it encompasses that magic of Christmas back to us again as adults.
Yeah, for real. And do you do the elf on the shelf thing?
Nope, we don't. We just threaten her with Santa.
Same. Oh, same. This is what I did. I was like, he was acting up, and then I go, well, Santa, I think we're gonna have to cancel the guest this year.
I did the same thing. I would go on TikTok and find like a live feed for a Santa who, I mean, during that time, there were a ton of men with the white beards and hair and everything dressed up, and they were like playing Santa on TikTok. And I would wait till I found one, and then I would walk by her and be like, oh yeah, Santa, she's being okay. And she would see like the FaceTime and be like, and like it would freak her out. And yeah, we don't do the elf on the shelf. We do the straighten up or you're not getting shit.
Yeah, pretty much. And then he called me out the other day. It was like, so he goes, so family got me Spidey friends and Spider-Man's this, Spider-Man that, but Santa didn't get me any Venom toys. Can you call Santa again and see if he can bring me a Venom toy? I was like, well, Santa's gone. Santa's done for the year. Or I was like, well, call him. You were calling him. I'm like, no. And so then we ended up ordering him a Venom toy. And when he was acting up, there was no more Santa to threaten him with. So I go, hey, Mr. Bezos. Yeah. Hey, Jeff, we're going to go ahead and just cancel that toy. And now he's like, no, Jeffrey Bezos. No, Jeffrey Bezos. Very much.
See, my God, Mia is she's way too smart. She's got my patience, but her mom's intelligence. My wife is extremely intelligent. And my kid will get pissed off at stuff, and she will start just saying things to try to hurt your feelings. Like she'll sit in bed like this, and she'll be like, I don't like the Aggies anymore. I don't like Spider-Man. I don't like Iron Man. I don't like the Iron Man mask you got me. And she'll sit there all just pissed off. And she said the other night, she goes, all I wanted Santa to get me was a Doc McStuffins, and he didn't do that. Well, my parents got her one. And I was like, you can I cuss?
Oh, I've been cussing this whole time.
Oh, okay. I was like, you fucking got it, Doc McStuffins. Who do you care where it comes from? You asked for Santa for it. And my wife was telling me what she was saying at this because I didn't hear it. And I told Allison, I go, well, shit, I would have told her, said, well, no wonder you didn't get a Doc McStuffins from Santa the way you're acting. Somebody else had to get it for you. And she was like, damn, that's gotcha. So I should have replied. But it's one of those things, man. Like I think this is where we were kind of going with this podcast. Like I have a tendency to spoil my daughter just because we have her. And I know you and I were talking about this back in 2015, and it was actually on Good Friday that we found out my wife was pregnant, and went through, everything, every doctor's appointment I went to with her. It was our first child we were having. We had been married at that point a little over 3 years. And, we had, I went to her, or went to every doctor's appointment with her. And the one doctor's appointment that I had an appointment at work that I couldn't make, I get a phone call from her. And she is just bawling her eyes out. And I go, what? What? She goes, they can't find a heartbeat. And immediately I switched into just that mode of kind of that protective mode and that mode of what do I need to do next? Not like, holy shit, they can't find the heartbeat for my son. I may have lost my son. Okay, what do I need to do next to protect her? And what do I need to do?
Was this before or after your daughter?
Before. So Amelia was born March 28th. No, she was born March of 2018. He was supposed to be December of 2015. But yeah, so I get the call. My wife works in Buda. Our doctor is in Kyle. I'm in Dripping Springs, roughly. And I get the call and I hear this and I'm like, immediately go into like numbers mode where I'm like, okay, I'm not grieving. I'm not scared. I'm not anything. My first thought is, okay, I need to get there with you. And so I'm in this big room in my office, and my boss has somebody with him in a meeting. And I turn around and look at him and I go like that. And he walks out with me, and I'm a tall guy. I'm 6'4".
Oh, I know.
Boss at that time,
up all the time.
yeah. My boss at that time, who is still my wife's boss, he's 6'8", and he's a couple of years older than us. So he's a young guy too, with 3 kids. And he goes, "What?" Because he's in the middle of a meeting, and I look at him and I go, Allison just called and they can't find a heartbeat. And he kind of goes blank too, like he doesn't know what to do. And I go, I have to leave. And he goes, yeah, leave. And so I go down, it's from where my office at that time is at. It's off of 290, just across from Nutty Brown Cafe. I hit Nutty Brown, I hit 1626 trying to get there. And I am pedal to the metal going, right? And people are going the speed limit. So I'm going around them like dangerous, going around them. To this day, I will not get mad at anybody who does stupid shit driving around me, because I don't know what's happening to them, that they're trying to get to something.
Yeah.
And go, and I'm hauling ass, and I make a normally 40-minute drive in 15 minutes. And during that drive, I call my mom, who my mom is working for the state, and she is down in Corpus for a conference. And I mean, I needed to call somebody.
Right.
And so I call my mom and I tell her, and then when I tell her, she breaks down. And then I break down while I'm driving.
While you're like glasses fogging up and driving 90 something.
Yeah. So it didn't take much. I had called my mom, and she said, I'm on my way. Where they were down in Corpus for stuff for her work.
When you called your mom, what was her like, or when you told her, how did she respond? Because I'll tell you this before, like, when I tell my mom when something bad happens to me, like her reaction is not mean, but her reaction is like, oh my god, like it just it sounds like
There's
oh yeah, like
there's yeah, there's no way to describe it. In my head, I still hear it, and it to this day it's still like her the voice she made I had never heard before. And yeah, it was it there's no way to describe it. It was that truly like that
a
emergency.
desperation.
Yeah, where she
She
immediately
can't help you.
she wanted to be with me. And they were, hours away. And it was funny. My dad, to this day, my dad was military police officer and everything, and he's very sensitive to that. But again, he goes into that same mode of like, um, like directing traffic. If a police officer sees an accident and wants, I mean, it's hurting them to not help, but their best thing they can do is kind of direct traffic at that time. And he immediately went into that mode where he has to get my mom to me, help me. He's got to direct everything. And yeah, they made it from Corpus to Kyle in like 2 hours, which that normally is like almost a 5 hour drive.
Right.
But yeah, so driving to Buda or Kyle, where they were at. I even to this day I don't remember what I was thinking. I was weaving in and out of traffic, and there's no, I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking. I got to the hospital, which it was the same hospital that
Were you angry, sad,
I was nothing.
indifferent, just numb?
Yeah, I was. My whole mentality was to get to my wife. That was it. I had no. I mean, it was a complete blank slate on what was going on. And I got there and I got into the room with her, and my wife's best friend was already there. And immediately, like, she broke down. Allison, my wife, did. And I immediately went into like recovery mode, almost like, I'm going to fix this. We're going to be okay. I'm in that like hug kind of moment. Like, I'm not letting myself process anything because I know I need to be strong for her as her husband. I can't break down. I can't lose my shit there because she's losing hers. Somebody there has to hold that moment and be that strong person. So over the next day and a half, that whenever I got there, doctor came in, and part of me was still holding out hope that maybe they just missed the heartbeat somewhere. Maybe they just missed. Maybe they missed it. Brought in the ultrasound, brought in the vaginal ultrasound and everything, and no heartbeat. So we're at 30 weeks at this point. And the only option we have is my wife's going to have to deliver. And they're giving her medication, they're giving her stuff to try to help and everything, and it's just not working. Allison's having a lot of pain issues. And she doesn't want to have an epidural. She doesn't want to. And there was a point where she and I are in that room, and I tell her, I say, look, I know you don't want an epidural. I know you don't, but you need one. We need to do this so we can get this finished. So they bring in the stuff to give her an epidural. And, they lean her over to do it. And she and I are face to face. And I start talking to her and I go, you know what? I don't think we have a really good shot in the playoffs this year. And she has leaned over, getting this spike shoved into her spinal cord, and she goes, what? No, we absolutely do. Yeah, we do. We got this and this, and the Cowboys. Oh my! And I go, no, but we're having an issue with this. And she and I just start this conversation about football. And I know they're putting that in because she's grabbing my arm, but the more she squeezes, the more I kind of yell at her with football stuff. Like, no, because every goddamn year the Cowboys disappoint us. They hurt us. And at the end of it, the nurse, she goes, I do a lot of epidurals, and this was probably the best one I've ever done. To watch you and her talk that way. And we knew in that room that there was not going to be a
Super Bowl trip for the Cowboys.
Well, yeah. I mean, we knew that since we were freaking 13 years old. In that room, we knew there was no happy ending. And there were one of the nights where I laid on the couch going to sleep, and I was praying that it was a dream. That I've always had really great dreams, and then you wake up and you're like, wait, shit,
not real.
I dreamed I won the lottery, son of a bitch. This was kind of the opposite of that.
Hey, dude, look at this. I don't know if people you can notice that, but the whole time when I fucking get stressed out, like I silently just like pick up my thumbnails. This whole time, that's what I've been doing.
Look at mine. Yeah.
So like just listening to the story, I've been like back and forth, and I caught myself a few times, and I'm like cleaning it off, and then I go right back to it.
Yeah.
So in this whole thing, man, like, not trying to relive everything, it sucks 100%, obviously. What I think when we were talking about this, and I stopped you back then because I was like, I think this is a good story that we need to share if you want to share it, for a guy's perspective, because we know women, they go through the physical and emotional pain. Like we can no way and at all know what they go through, because they tell us stuff, but they don't tell us everything.
Right.
And so we can at no point even try to imagine what they go through. But I don't think a lot of people talk about what the guy goes through. You know, like we have
Well,
to be tough or pretend
and
to be.
that was kind of where I was going. The last thing I want to say about that moment in the hospital, both me laying on the couch, wishing it was a dream. It got to the point that I stood there, held Allison's hand. She and I had been friends since we were 12. And I held her hand and I knew we have two ways to go here. One, we completely separate ourselves. We blame the other person, we blame ourselves, and we are done. Or we can rally around each other. We can rally, just become strong together. And that's what we did. We became stronger together. And we, we rallied around each other. Now, post everything, in the hospital, everything, yeah. And what you were saying was, as a man, I felt, I had a week and then I was back to work. She had a few weeks before she had to be back. I couldn't function at my office because I go back and I sit in my chair and I'm flashed back to that moment. And I would find times where I would sit there and I would just stare because my mind would start going. And eventually I had to leave that job to go to another job because I couldn't be in that spot anymore because I couldn't look at that moment, because that moment would keep replaying over and over. And as a man trying to handle that stuff, I loved the fact that the church that my wife goes to has a women's group for fertility and just fertility and infant loss. They have a support group where they get together every week. We didn't have that. But I had no support group. She had that. She had a group of friends who had been through it, who had gone through that same interaction. She had that support group. Me, I had amazingly, Jerry came up. Another friend of mine came up after it happened, and I have a great support group, but nobody
That went through it.
well, nobody that went through it, nobody who's here. I had, and that's the thing, like,
Oh, so like it was all over the phone or something like that.
right.
Not somebody like physically talking to.
See, and that was the other thing, was that for a woman, so statistically, 1 in 5 women will have a premature pregnancy or a miscarriage or stillbirth. And I mean, that's a shit ton that's 20% of women.
Right.
And so that's a big portion of the population for women, and they have a support group. For us, there's really not one. I mean, the only support group I had through Allison's church was a group of guys who were playing fantasy football together. Like, well, shit, I love fantasy football. Fine, let's play. But we're not talking about what happened. We're not
That's the
talking
thing,
about
and that's the
that
thing. Where it's
loss.
like, that's where I'm like, you know, even in this conversation, I don't think I can 100% relate. Like, I can relate to the fact that I have a kid, and if I knew that, like, at any moment I lost him before, or, you know, at any moment, like, I'm gonna be a mess.
Yeah.
So that's where I like relate to people where it's like, I'm hearing stories like this, and I cannot even fathom the fact. All right, Arthur, you know, this whole thing, like, it's super heavy. Hey, man, we're trying to Happy New Year, right?
Right. Cheers.
Cheers. I think, like I was saying, it's super important. I needed this conversation because I don't think it's out there as much. You know, like we
You're
were saying,
yeah.
we understand that the women are going through a lot, way more
Oh yeah.
than we are.
Oh yeah.
And I don't want to
Yeah.
take anything like that away. I just
Oh,
want people
absolutely
to
not.
also understand that as us guys, we're going through stuff too. And then I say we, I'm including myself. I'm not there, obviously, but I feel like
Yeah.
there's
And
certain moments that us guys are not taking, that we go through as a couple, but then the guy just has to like suck it up and do it, and not because, I don't know, like, it's not a right way to say it, to like, we're not doing it because, oh, we're macho, and then like, we're doing it because we're taking control of the situation. We don't want the woman
well,
who we
no,
know is already going through a
we
lot to
what
make
we
it
do
worse.
what we do as men is we pull the burden on ourselves. We become the pillar of the situation because you're absolutely right.
And I think you said
Excuse
something
me.
very important, or uh, at least that you guys made a decision, like, we're either gonna go against each other or work together. And I think, unfortunately, that's what happens because we're not, unfortunately, we're not taking into account that we're dealing with stuff too, and then that becomes
Right.
into resentment and
Right.
whatever it is. And then some people are just not like capable of saying, I need the help, or we need to work together, where it just becomes bitter rivalry, and then we go our
Right.
separate ways.
Well, it never becomes a rivalry. It becomes a blame game. It becomes well, I did this, you didn't do this, you did this. You know, it becomes simple things like that. And it's weird um after something like this happens. And of course we lost our son, Oliver, Oliver Trent Rogers. Want to put his name on record because make sure people know he is my son. Um, died September of 2015. We also, on Father's Day of 2020, we had a miscarriage on Father's Day. So, you know, man, I'm trying to figure out the best words to put it. You never want to blame the other person because as men, we internalize everything. What did we do? What did I do? What did I say? What could I have done different to have prevented this? Men spend our entire lives living in a hindsight moment. I mean, all of us going to bed at night. We have that hindsight moment like, well, shit, I could have done this better. I could have done this better. Or that moment where, you know, you got really pissed off at your kid and a couple of days later you're like, shit, I could have done that better.
Oh yeah, well,
We live in a constant state of hindsight. I think the biggest thing that I want to come out of this podcast is to let men know that it's okay. It's okay to hurt. It's okay to be sad, but it's not your fault, man. It's not your fault. It's not what you did. It's not what you did to other people. It's not karma. It's not shit coming back around. I think that was my biggest thing is like throughout my life, I did some really fucked up things to ex-girlfriends. Never physical abuse or anything like that, but telling them, "Oh, I love you," and just to have sex. And something so devastating like this happens, losing a child, where you start thinking it's karma coming back around. It's not karma. It's not. There is, I truly believe in a yin and yang, a yin and yang existence where there is balance to everything. There has to be loss in this world. There has to be. I truly believe that God lays the pain on people who can handle it. I truly believe that. I mean, I've looked at friends of mine who have multiple kids and their marriage is not doing great. And I look at them and I go, they could never survive what we went through. I look at us as we are strong enough to get through this. And that's what God has to have. We have to have loss in this world. There's no escaping loss. But it's a matter of handling it versus who can't. And I truly believe that God puts this on us. God put two children loss on me and my wife because we can handle it rather than putting it on somebody else who their marriage couldn't take that. Their marriage couldn't survive this. This man and woman truly love each other, but they could not take that loss. And that's what really got me through everything. Because I went to a really dark place. We lost our son. We lost Oliver. I went to a really bad place. But I came out of it knowing that there's more to this world.
Ultimately, was there somebody like that you did you talk to people? You know, obviously you were saying you had a group of friends that you could talk to, but they weren't there physically. Was there ever somebody that you were able to talk to? Because I'm saying like maybe your obviously your faith, your belief keeps you going and kept you going and helped you, but let's say for somebody that's not believing or doesn't have that kind of faith, what would help them to like get over it, or not to get over? Because I don't think you necessarily get over it.
Right,
But
you never
keep
get
pushing
over it.
forward, I think is the better
Right.
word.
For somebody who doesn't have faith, I don't know. I don't know.
If I were to go, when I go through like really hard stuff, I think about like small prayer stuff where it's still like my certain belief is still there, even though I make jokes about the church and religion and all that. But then also at the same time, I try to think about like life itself, and it's like, what do I need at this moment to move forward? Do I need to talk to somebody? Do I need to work it out, like I physically work out? Do I need to drink through it? Do I need to, which is probably usually never the correct answer. I think this is
I
too hard, too
mean,
fast, and I love it. This is the best, whatever. Like I like that, but for certain like really hardcore situations, I usually seek something physical, whether
I
it's
think the
talking to
idea.
somebody or working out, meditation. And I say I don't meditate. Like if you ask, if Jen asks, I don't meditate. But like when I'm working out on my own, there's a lot of thoughts that go through my head.
I think the idea of a moment, I mean, first things first. The thing is nobody knows true heartache until they're in it. And I think the biggest problem becomes, when are you in it? It's like that old thing, like you don't know you're in the good times until you're out.
Right.
I wish I knew I was in the good times while I'm still in them. The Office, Andy. Good job. Um, you really don't know how bad it can be until it's bad. So it's all relative. It's all relative to where you're at. And, I mean, for somebody losing a mom or dad is really bad. Me losing two children, really bad, but it's all relative. Like me and you sitting here, you've never lost a child, but you've had stuff that has hurt you too, that you work through. You've never been to a spot where I am, but I've never been to a spot where you are. So it's all relative
So
to
it's
where
all
you're
just
at.
making sure, figure out where you're at, where you want to be, and what you need to get there.
Well, I think the ultimate thing that you have to do, you have to internally find where you are. You have to internally figure out how to get out. Because and this is the ultimate thing that we do as men. We have to figure out a lot of stuff for ourselves. We have to figure out where we go from here. It's it's clawing ourselves out of where we get to, and how bad is it? Because as men, we're told, "Oh no, you're fine. Well, you're fine. You're good. You're going to be okay."
Don't be
Well,
a
yeah,
little
I know
bee. Walk it off.
right. Walk it off. Walk it off is always the big thing.
Mm.
My message to any man out there who is going through this: you're not alone. We are out here. There's a lot of us out here, and there's actually a group of people on Facebook. It's Dads with Angels, where we have a support group where you can vent, you can talk. We're here to talk to, because there's not a lot of us that will look for that help, because the majority of the time we're told, well, just, you're fine. Well, we're you know we're told, how's your wife doing? Is she okay? Is she doing okay? Is she okay? And my immediate reaction after losing 2 kids was to protect her. That was my immediate go-to. And there's groups out here on Facebook, Dads with Angels. We're a large group. We're actually based out of the UK, is where it started. And it's a hundreds of thousands of men who just on Facebook just vent. And we're out there. And I think that's the important thing I want everyone to know. There is no getting over it. You never get over it. There is no end to the hurt. Every year I sit and think, well, I've got my daughter now who's almost 4. I should have a 7-year-old, and I should have a 2-year-old. It never ends. It never does. It's always going to be there. But the important thing is knowing we're going to be okay.
I like that. We're going to be okay. I'll cheers to that. We're going to be okay.
Yep.
Let's end this on a positive note. Well, I think that's a positive note. We're going to be okay. But let's... Dang, man. I know we were going to go heavy. I knew we were going to go heavy. And I appreciate your honesty and your candidness. I appreciate your truth, man. Your story. This is amazing. It's a heavy story, but it's an important story. It's an important story.
I want men out there to know we're here. We're all in it together.
I told you and I told everybody that we were going to end in a light fashion. So, in that sense, I'm going to do something weird over here. And as I'm doing that, I want you to tell me your biggest or your nerdiest thing you have in that man cave of yours.
I got comic books on the wall, man. I'll tell you my nerdiest thing. I think this is. So
while you do that, I'm going to do this move right here.
So, from the new Ghostbusters movie, Ghostbusters Afterlife, I have been a Ghostbusters fan since I was a kid. They didn't offer this in theaters where I'm at, but I bought these online from AMC. These are Ecto 1 popcorn buckets.
Popcorn buckets?
Yeah, this is a popcorn bucket with Ecto 1.
So that is badass. But is there popcorn in it, or is it just to hold the popcorn?
I think it's just to hold the popcorn, but I haven't opened the box yet.
No plan of opening.
No, if there's popcorn in there, it's going to be really, really terrible. But so I would take that or shit. I have comic books from the Amalgam universe in 1996 they combined Marvel and DC comics for a single run. And I have let's see, Bruce Wayne, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. I have Spider-Boy.
Dude, imagine if they did that with the movies.
Right. I have Iron Lantern, Justice League X, Super Soldier, Steve Rogers and Superman combined. Yeah. So I think, I think that's my, I got some Power Ranger flip heads. Remember those as a kid, the flip heads for Power Rangers?
Is it the Pez?
No, the old Power Ranger toys where one head was the helmet and you could open up their chest and flip them around and it would be their regular face.
Oh,
Got
dang,
a bunch
I
of
don't-
those.
I don't have that.
Yeah. Got the Iron Man Infinity Gauntlet. So yeah, nerd
So
stuff.
basically, a big old nerd room. Can I pick
Yeah.
one?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Eventually, we're gonna have to take a tour of this room. So we're gonna have to get you back over here on the Too
Yes,
Hard,
sir.
Too Fast podcast.
Yes, sir. I'm always here.
On my end over here, I don't know if you were watching, but I mixed both of them together.
Oh,
And so with that, I want to give one more last cheers to 2022. The story, hey, we're back. I feel, Arthur, I feel like you're going to be around for Too Hard, Too Fast quite a bit, man.
I'm here.
I love
Brother.
talking to you. I have a fun time. So I think, cheers.
It's not like you can play fantasy football anyway, so.
Hey, I did good enough. But with that said, hey, mix them up. Candy pecan, pecan porter. They make a weird pecan. Hey, is it pecan or pecan? We'll figure
Pecan.
it out.
It's pecan.
With that said, dare to be you, dare to be weird. Thanks for your story. That you
Yes, sir.
completely opened up. We definitely went too hard, too fast, and I appreciate it.
Absolutely, brother. Love you.
Bye.
Thank you for listening.
Oh, the Rowdy Texan Abroad.
Yep. A Rowdy Texan Abroad. Yes, sir. Please.
Soon to be sexy.
Just don't look